Coming up on today's show, Ubisoft addresses Japanese fans over Assassin's Creed Shadows. There's more unionization and layoff news, and we played Marvel Rivals. What's good, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the What's Good Games podcast, your source for video game news, commentary, analysis, and, of course, the funny stuff every Friday. I am one of your hosts, Andrea and Riana, joined by Mrs. Riana Manuel-Peña.
Yeah, there's lots of ups and downs in those opening remarks there. It's been an interesting
week. This show is going to go places, and some of them are going to be not as positive as others, though y'all know we'd like to keep it positive here on What's Good Games, but it's a bit of a slow news week, and unfortunately we had to pick the news that everyone else is talking about. And, of course, that we have thoughts and opinions about. Let's be clear about that. Thank you so much to this month's super producers, Faris Attieh, Justin Foshee, Joshua Franklin, and Punkdefied, and everybody supporting us at what'sgoodgames.supercast.com. We appreciate you guys doing all you can for the show. If you like the show, everybody, tell a friend, or hit that subscribe button, or follow us. Every little bit helps. We love y'all. Riana, It's so good to see you. It's been a very tumultuous week here in the United States. A lot happening on the political front, which we aren't really going to get into on this show, but I know we both have kind of been glued to the TikTok memes and all of the commentary that's happening.
What's hilarious to me is that, of course, Love Island USA just wrapped and all of the Islanders are now out in the wild. And so there's like post-Love Island drama and then political discourse are the two things that are dominating all of my social feeds. And it is just such a dichotomy for the United States experience. I love America.
Yeah, it's a weird time. And also, Comic-Con is happening in San Diego, so I'm sure that there's going to be some hopefully fun news coming out of that. And then, we've got more video game stuff happening next month as we roll into the fall. This year, it just feels like it's going too fast.
Like, how is it already the end of July? Like, it's mind-boggling to me.
Whenever it gets to my birthday, I always know that summer's almost over. Like my birthday happens and then I'm like, oh dang, better hurry up and finish those last pool days or beach trips or outdoor hikes or anything you want to do. And it's a little bit different in, climate change California where every day is 100 degrees.
Oh my God. Yeah. I'm actually, can we come to your pool soon? Because it's been a struggle over here in the valley.
Of course you can. Anytime. Speaking of my birthday, next Friday, we're going to be doing a happy hour, not to celebrate my birthday, though. Why not? But it's going to be our Supercast exclusive happy hour Q&A. So please head on over to Supercast or check your email for all of the details. And we hope that you guys join us and submit questions. If you guys want to get access to that show, of course, what'sgoodgames.supercast.com is the place to do that. So let's go ahead and get into the news. I want to let you know today's show is also brought to you by Shopify, Boot.dev, and Hims, but we'll tell you more about that later on. Let's talk about angry people on the internet throwing lots of stones at Ubisoft for this Assassin's Creed Shadows announcement. I only saw the headline at first, Riana, and was like already eye-rolling. I was like, why? Yeah. First off, Ubisoft, did you say anything else about this? I thought we covered this already. What's going on? And this is not everybody referring to them addressing the incident of plagiarism with an in-game flag that was taken from a local Japanese group. That's a completely separate story, and absolutely they should have addressed that, rectified that, fixed it. Never had it happen in the first place. But that's not what we're talking about here today. Instead, they decided to post a statement in response to some growing online discourse from Japanese-based fans who are upset about the way that Japan is being represented in the game. Mm-hmm. So, Riana, could you please read the first part of the Ubisoft statement for me?
Happily. While we strive for authenticity in everything we do, Assassin's Creed games are works of fiction inspired by real historical events and figures. Ubisoft's statement today reads, from its inception, the series has taken creative license and incorporated fantasy elements and to craft engaging and immersive experiences. The representation of Yasuke in our game is an illustration of this. His unique and mysterious life made him an ideal candidate to tell Assassin's Creed's story with the setting of feudal Japan as a backdrop. While Yasuke is depicted as a samurai in Assassin's Creed Shadows, we acknowledge that this is a matter of debate and discussion. We have woven this carefully into our narrative and with other lead character, the Japanese shinobi Naoe, who is equally important in the game. Our dual protagonists provide players with different gameplay styles. So this statement notes that Ubisoft has collaborated with numerous, quote, external consultants, historians, researchers, and internal teams at Ubisoft Japan. But it also says that anyone external to the company was in no way responsible for the decisions that are taken by the creative teams in the interests of gameplay and entertainment, which shout out to that statement. Blackrock Gamers actually called this out on Twitter as well. Thank you for standing by your consultants, because it really fucking sucks when you throw your consultants under the bus or don't come to their defense when they are attacked. So thank you, Ubisoft, for that bit. But criticism be directed at, quote, collaborators, both internal and external, the statement requests. So Ubisoft closes by encouraging fans to continue sharing their feedback respectfully.
I saw this statement, and I actually thought that this statement was good. I think there's a lot of people who disagree with me, who are like, they said nothing in that statement. I go, yeah, because they shouldn't have had to make this statement in the first place. This is a work of fiction. And the idea that people are treating it like it's some kind of historical representation meant to be biographical is, I think, doing a disservice to Ubisoft and the extensive work that they do and the historical research they do and the lengths that they go to make sure people know this is fictional, right? It's a video game. We're not trying to represent this as truth. They even have a statement at the top of all of their video games talking about how there is a multicultural and multi-faith group of individuals across the world who contribute to these, and in no way, shape, or form is it meant to be representative of fact. It is indeed just fiction.
Absolutely. And to the point you just made, like there's someone, Justice Kazi, on Twitter who quote tweeted this and got a bit of traction saying, hey, there's a lot of goofy shit in the reactions to Yasuke being in the game. But there are some instances, let's say, flag usage or the way buildings and architecture that are represented that people had legitimate concerns about because they wanted to celebrate feudal Japan. Okay, fine. That's great. But we all know that that is quite literally a Trojan horse for a bunch of racist bullshit that we've been seeing about the character Yasuke, who we've known about for decades. This is not a quote unquote race swap. They didn't make this dude up out of nowhere. This is a person who existed in real life, and they are taking creative license to expand on it to make a fun video game that you're supposed to look at and enjoy. It's supposed to be fun, you guys.
Yeah. I didn't think twice about the choice that they made with Yasuke and Nemoi. And I really thought it was a cool gameplay choice to say, hey, we're going to do a combat style focused on samurai and a combat style focused on shinobi, stealthy combat that Assassin's Creed is known for, while also stretching what we do in combat design. I thought that that was a really smart choice. But I also see where some players are frustrated that they're not getting two Japanese characters and getting a Japanese samurai instead. And I understand like where that frustration comes from, but the idea that you get to attack the character choice that they made because it wasn't the one you wanted is just wild. I mean, you can be critical. You can have thoughts and opinions on it, but like we always say here at What's Good Games, don't be a dick about it. You don't have to play the game if you don't like it. Yasuke is a person that existed in history. You know,
and it's not the first time we've heard of him.
After the statement was released this week, I stumbled upon this really cool Smithsonian article from the History Museum, for people who don't know what the Smithsonian is, and talking about Yasuke as a character. And there was a really cool blurb, a sidebar in that story about Chadwick Boseman and how he was supposed to play Yasuke in a feature film version of the historical representation of Yasuke's life. And sadly, Chadwick Boseman passed of cancer before he was able to fulfill that role. And I was like, both Rihanna and I were like, man, that would have been a really cool movie.
Right? Like, so many reasons to mourn this man's passing, because, like, on top of being an incredible human and actor and activist, like, getting a Yasuke movie would have been really dope. And, like,
Yeah,
if you've never heard of Afro Samurai, fine, but, like, it's not the first time that this character has been presented as a samurai in Western media. So for this to be the thing that people are up in arms about, for this to be the hill that so many people are dying on, is just tiring. Like, come on, you guys, we have real problems.
As a woman who sometimes sees a choice where they could have picked two women and instead they picked one man and one woman, I sometimes go, man, that's a bummer. Why did they just pick two women? Do it, you cowards. So I understand the frustration that Japanese people might have saying, why didn't you just make it two Japanese people? It's set in Japan. Sure. I get that. That's okay. But this idea that you're allowed to perpetuate some sort of narrative about forced D&I initiatives is absolutely ridiculous. I hate it, and it makes me angry. It's like, this is why we can't have nice things.
Exactly. And also the the conflation that D&I equals black is just tired. Like,
yes.
to earlier remarks we've made in the show about the political happenings in America right now, like, that's not what that word or that's acronym means. It's diversity, equity, inclusion. It includes veterans, pregnant people, people with different abilities. Like, it does not just mean, oh, there's a person of color now in a spot where I wanted a different person of color, or a person with no color. I guess I don't know what you wanted, but, like, Yasuke's black. They're calling him a samurai. Fucking deal with it. Like, I don't, like, are you gonna mad because he came from Portugal and not like somewhere else? Like what about the history are you gonna choose to be mad about? Like, this is a real person and they actually did their research. So, I mean, even the Japanese historians are like, yeah, it's fine. Also, we don't care. This is a game. Like,
it's a video game where you literally go around and cut people's heads off, and you use a little blade to, like, snuff out light sources. You hide in freaking thin grass bushes and then whistle for someone to come over and then hide their body in the bush. What are we even talking about here?
Literally.
It's all fantasy.
It's quite honestly a video game, and I don't know what would satisfy people who choose to have this problem. I really don't. Like, I can imagine it, but I'm imagining they would also find a reason to be upset about whatever it is that they're given as a consolation prize. So, like, suck it up. Like, not everything's made for you. Not everything's made for me. I'm cis het black woman in America. There's honestly many things that aren't made for me that I am still able to enjoy without going to Twitter and trying to tell people they should be fired over it, because that's just weird. Yes. Also, I'm busy.
The attacking of consultants and developers and team members who are making this game, to me, is really the horrific and unacceptable part of this whole fiasco. We've seen this happen over and over again with many different teams. I mean, we just talked about it last week with Sega winning a lawsuit against one of these harassers, and how this person had to pay damages to that employee, and how that shouldn't be a thing that has to happen, that the publisher shouldn't have to go after somebody to protect their employees. It's just like, it's okay to be angry. We say this on the show. It's okay to have feelings. It's okay to feel your feelings. But you need to think about how you're going to process those feelings and not hurt somebody else in the way that you process them. And you should probably seek the help of a professional to do that.
Yeah,
Perhaps
there are so many resources out there.
Or a therapist, or even a friend, a family member, anybody, before you, like, lash out and hurt people. It's not the way forward, friends. It's not the way. It's not the way.
It's not the way.
That's what we wanted to say about this story today. That it's okay to have feelings, and it's okay to disagree with creative choices, but it's not okay to be an asshole.
Nope. Yeah, no more petitions and weird shit. I'll just call
that's
it
our
off.
feature news story for this week. When we come back after this short break, which also helps support the show, we've got a couple of quick headlines. Stick with us. We'll see you in a minute. This episode of What's Good Games is brought to you by Shopify. What works so well that it's basically magic? Glorious air conditioning on these hot days? Getting food delivered to your house? Pretty magical. A drop-in, drop-out multiplayer? Awesome, right? Well, what about selling with Shopify? Shopify is the global commerce platform that helps you sell at every stage of your business. From the launch your online shop stage to the first real-life store stage, all the way to the did we just hit 1 million orders stage? Shopify is there to help you grow. Whether you're selling die-cut anime stickers or fishing gear, Shopify helps you sell everywhere, from their all-in-one e-commerce platform to their in-person POS system. Wherever and whatever you're selling, Shopify's got you covered. And sell more with less effort thanks to Shopify Magic, your AI-powered all-star. Shopify makes it easy for you to show up exactly where you want to and how you want to by customizing your online store to your style with gorgeous, flexible templates and powerful tools. And with Shopify Magic, you can whip up captivating content that converts, from blog posts to product descriptions, where you can generate instant FAQ answers and pick the perfect email send time. Plus, Shopify Magic's free for every Shopify seller. And Shopify's award-winning help is there to support your success every step of the way, because businesses that grow, grow with Shopify. Sign up for a $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/what's-good. All lowercase, everybody. Go to shopify.com/what's-good now to grow your business no matter what stage you're in. Shopify.com/what's-good. Let's get into this week's headlines. Up first, more unionization is happening in video games. World of Warcraft developers are the latest to form a wall-to-wall union at Blizzard Entertainment. The Communication Workers of America has confirmed that over 500 employees at Blizzard Entertainment have formed a wall-to-wall union, which I'm going to be honest, not quite sure what that means. The new unit is called the World of Warcraft Game Makers Guild and comprises the entire World of Warcraft development team, including designers, engineers, artists, quality assurance testers, and more. And another 60-person unit of Blizzard QA testers called the Texas Blizzard QA United CWA has formed simultaneously in Austin, Texas. Staff were able to organize without interference thanks to a seismic labor neutrality agreement that was struck back in 2022. That agreement was subsequently extended to other Microsoft employees, with ZeniMax paving the way for almost 250 workers at Bethesda Game Studios to unionize earlier this week.
Bravo. Congrats, everybody. We're really happy for the folks over there at that dev team. And like, a cautious thank you to the powers that be at Microsoft for not standing in the way. Like, I don't know how much struggle there was. I have no insight into that process whatsoever, but I'm glad that this was able to push through so quickly after the acquisition, right? Because I would not have bet on this happening if I were a betting person.
We reported on some Microsoft union moves happening earlier this year, so I imagine once the Bethesda group was able to get that paperwork over the legal hurdle, so to speak, it, I'm sure, paved the way for other groups within the organization to get their individual members together and get their paperwork together to be able to have those conversations with legal. And by the way, according to Google, a wall-to-wall union is a horizontal organizing tactic that aims to unite all workers in a workplace into a single bargaining union, regardless of their job title or other differences.
Oh, that's great. So it doesn't need to be like the writers or the developers or whatever. It's like literally everybody. That's fantastic.
So basically, it's like, do you work here? You're in.
Congrats,
Whether
everybody.
you're,
Like, that's
creating
awesome.
concept art or you're cleaning the toilets. Everybody's welcome.
Everyone jump in. Oh, that's really cool. And, again, we have seen endless layoffs and unfortunate events across game dev over the last couple of years, especially. So anything to try to shore up people's defenses in order to continue doing the things that they love and bringing us the experiences that we like to enjoy and comment on in this show safely and with guarantee that they have a good quality of life. Thumbs up from me. So good job.
And in opposite news, I guess I would say, is instead of
literally
together, there's been a restructuring. I will say I'm grateful that we had a little bit of respite from the constant layoff and downsizing and studio closure news that plagued us for the first 2 quarters of this year. But this latest story comes from Humble Games, and it says that it's restructuring employees and that its entire staff has been laid off. So this comes from PC Gamer, but they also had their own post because the story started circulating before they made an official announcement about it, as we've seen with several of these layoffs that happen. The news somehow leaks or gets out, and then, of course, the studio comes forward and is like, yep, you got us. So Humble Games writes that in these challenging economic times for indie game publishing, Humble Games has made the difficult but necessary decision to restructure our operations. This decision was not made lightly, and it involves much deliberation, of course, blah, blah, blah. They go on to talk about the profound impact and the usual stuff that the publishers say. But they end with, thank you for your support and compassion during this challenging period. It's deeply appreciated, and we are committed to making this transition as smooth as possible for everyone. So,
bro, it's like, ugh.
So knowing that they have been underneath Ziff Davis, and that Ziff Davis recently made a large acquisition of several media outlets, my guess is that Ziff Davis as an organization is potentially restructuring all of their businesses to say, does it make sense for us to have a publishing business underneath all of our media businesses? To which a lot of people would say, no. If you have a bunch of media branches, you probably shouldn't also be publishing games. It's a little unethical and weird. It's constantly been a thing, right? And their outlets have been very good about doing disclaimers, of course. There's been no funny business there. They've been very forthcoming about that. But I would guess that overall, it's a better step forward if they're going to expand their editorial and content businesses to probably wind down their publishing businesses. But that's just my read on the situation. I don't have a statement from anybody at Ziff Davis about that.
It's a good read. And from the PC Gamer article, it's about 36 players who are, 36 employees who have been let go. And they did confirm that Humble Bundle will still be available if you'd like to continue to support the games themselves. But it's just really frustrating. Like as you said, completely opposite of the previous story, that to see mismanagement really be the only reason why people are losing their jobs. It's very frustrating. Humble Bundle is fantastic. They've brought us incredible games over the years. And for the people who have been doing the good work there, our hearts go out to you. Thank you for all of the different games and titles you've brought to our doorsteps. And I hope to see more from you. Like, I constantly share job postings. Like, well, there's lots of people in the industry who have been reaching out to the folks laid off, but it's never great, especially when nobody did bad work and there wasn't a particular dollar amount that wasn't achieved for their KPIs. Like, they just did what they had to do and management did what they wanted to do, and people have to pay the price. And for everyday folks, it's really shitty. So sorry, you guys. We love what you do. I hope we see more of it.
Yes, it is a bummer. But we are going to end with a couple of quick, fun stories. Rihanna, you just wrote that mommy is in Call of Duty.
Mommy's in COD. Okay, so I'm not a long-time WWE fangirly, but my husband, Danny Peña, and a lot of our friends obviously are. And so I've been following the Reah Ripley, Dirty Dom, and Liv Morgan storyline. So I'm very invested in this. Mostly I just want to see Rhea kick Dom's ass. Please, please, Triple H, just let her fight him. Just let her fight him. But we do get a little bit of an exciting moment in Call of Duty, which is a game that we both play quite often here. We get Rhea Bloody Ripley coming to Call of Duty in Season 5 Battle Pass. So if you get the Battle Pass right now, it's available, and you can run around with Rhea, and she looks fantastic, and she can beat a lot of dudes up, which is very fun.
Yes, absolutely. I think that she is a badass, and I like watching her spots. I also have a husband who's very into WWE, and I'm like a casual. I'm a casual fan.
Yeah.
I used to be a hardcore WWF fan, like way back in the day. But
I didn't know that.
Oh yeah, I had the magazine, the action figures. I was obsessed. But then when they changed into WWE, I was just at a point in my life where I couldn't keep up, and then I couldn't afford it. And then it was always on when I was working, and there was like no way to watch it online afterwards, right? Like they didn't have like the vast VOD network that they have today. And then it got expensive, and then it was on like 5 nights a week. And I was like, this is just, I just can't. I can't keep up.
Fair.
So it's like me trying to follow, what's happening with the Real Housewives. There's too many of them.
There's a lot. There's so many spinoffs.
The meta is just too deep.
It is. All of these reality shows, and I'll put WWE kind of in a meta reality show category.
It's
hard to keep up.
a meta reality show.
It's hard to keep up because I got WWE, Love Island, and I don't know, the U.S. politics, and then also Big Brother just started. So it's a lot.
There's a lot to keep up with. Great, hilarious reality TV to escape to, if that is the escape that you are looking for, friends. If you're like, you know what, I need to take a break from the sticks, put the controller down for a little bit, just kick back and have some mind-numbing or stimulating or titillating, I guess, television to watch, depending on which of the reality shows you choose to watch.
Some of them are highly stimulating.
There's no shortage of options for you. Actually, that's going to do it for this week's headlines. I was going to throw in the story about all of the cast announcements for Dragon Age, but I feel like I got to wait to talk about that with our girl, Britt, when she's back on the show. So instead, I'm going to say we're going to take one more quick break. We'll be right back to talk about our time with the first opening hours of the Marvel Rivals beta. This episode of What's Good Games is brought to you by Boot.dev. If you're listening to this podcast, then there's a good chance that you like to play video games, but have you thought about making one? Whether you're thinking of a side hustle or maybe you're looking for a new career path, if you're interested in learning to code, then it's time to check out Boot.dev. You'll learn back-end web development from start to finish in the Python and Go programming languages, and the folks at Boot.dev believe the smartest way to learn code is to make sure you're never bored. Boot.dev is online, self-paced, and feels like a captivating RPG game. Oh, one of our faves. The platform is designed to get you writing a ton of code because getting your hands on the keyboard and shipping projects is really the only way to learn. If you're ever completely stuck or you just want to see how the instructor wrote the code, there are solutions available for every challenge on the site. At Boot.dev, they believe that learning to code is not a get-rich-quick scheme. They believe going in deep and taking time in the fundamentals so that you are as prepared as you can be for your job search. Plus, they never want a student feeling like they spent money on something that isn't helping them. So they offer a 30-day, no-questions-asked refund policy and a free demo of every course and its interactive features. Click the link in the description box below and use our code WGG to get 25% off your first payment at Boot.dev. That's BOOT.dev and use our code WGG to get 25% off your first month or your first year, depending on which subscription you choose. Start your coding journey today at Boot.dev with our code WGG. This week's episode is brought to you by Hims. Does this show's weekly thirst for husbandos and waifus ever leave you feeling like you could use a power-up in the bedroom? Well, it's time you stop worrying about your performance and get Hims so you can feel confident knowing you can get ready and stay ready for action whenever you're in the mood. Hims is changing men's healthcare by providing access to affordable sexual health treatments, all from the comfort of your couch. Hims provides access to a range of doctor-trusted ED treatments such as chewable hard mints, proven treatments like Viagra and Cialis, or their generics for up to 95% cheaper. The process is simple and 100% online, so no uncomfortable doctor's visits. Just answer a series of questions on their site, and a medical provider will determine the right treatment option for you. If prescribed, your medication will ship directly to you for free. No insurance is needed. Just pay one low price for your treatments, online visits, ongoing shipments, and provider messaging. Hims has hundreds of thousands of trusted subscribers, so if ED is getting you down, it's time you find the option that works for you. Start your free online visit today at hims.com/games. That's HIMS.com/games for your personalized ED treatment options. hims.com/games. The products mentioned are chewable compounded products which are not approved by or verified for safety or effectiveness by the FDA. Prescriptions require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. Restrictions apply. See website for details and important safety information. Subscription required. Price varied based on product and subscription plan. Rihanna, I am very happy to report to everybody listening and watching that you and I are playing a lot of the same games right now.
Yay. But ironically, not all of them together.
No, I know. This is the problem when you have children, right? It's particularly young children, is that they always interrupt mama's game time.
Yeah,
At least
that's
my
rough on those
3-year-old has been
Destiny.
particularly bad at it over the last couple of weeks. But we did get the opportunity to sit down and play a little bit of the opening hours of the Marvel Rivals beta that's happening. And thank you to NetEase Game for sending over codes for us to play on PlayStation. PS5 is where we have been playing. But you first got to see this, Rihanna, back at Playdays at Summer Game Fest. And you didn't play it there, right? Just saw it as was it a hands-off demo?
No, I actually got some hands-on.
Oh, okay, great.
It was on PC, so I was
Struggle
on the
bus.
struggle bus. But I got about 30-ish minutes to play, and we were in open matchmaking with anybody who was in the alpha. So I didn't get a chance to play around with lots of characters. I played as, I want to say her name is Luna Nova. She's the ice lady, and she skates around and she dances to heal people and give them buffs. So that's who I played with during the hands-on at Summer Game Fest. But you and I got a lot more time earlier today, and I got a chance to play with a few more characters. So early thoughts. Overwatch clone has been thrown around. I won't say that I agree, because there is a lot to this game that feels very new and very fresh. I really like the destructible environments. I like the interaction and the synergy between the different characters. It's always fun when you pick a certain character and somebody else on your team has another one, and they have in-game chatter that's specific to their stories and their lore. And there's lots of those fun Marvel Easter eggs for anybody who's a big fan of that universe. I certainly was chewing on a lot of it and felt very, very well fed and satisfied. The actual moment-to-moment gameplay feels very familiar to other hero, team comp shooters and things like that. The gameplay styles feel somewhat familiar. There's capture points, there's escort this bot or this thing, or, things that we will recognize from many other different games. But what I think is, honestly, it's going to sound kind of minor, but it makes a huge difference for me. One of the things that I enjoyed the most in this game is the hero screen in your menu, and that it breaks down every single move in each of the heroes' move sets. It breaks down different suggested team comps based on your team up abilities, which are special abilities. If certain members of the roster are playing together, that'll give them a team boost. And it also gives you suggested combos, which show you like how to put together all of the different abilities with each hero, and ways to, get a leg up on the competition, or to help your team out even more. And essentially shows you how to play. Like, it shows you the meta in the game menu. And as somebody who doesn't have a lot of time to invest in many games, but really appreciates this deep level of, skill curve, and especially team comp and hero shooters, this is so yummy, because it allows me to get to that point where I can say, oh, if I'm Groot and I put together these two walls, and then I scale those walls, which you don't inherently know you can do, and then come down with a special ability, and then all of my team can rush in behind me, I'm going to be, the hero of the moment. I'm going to get the play of the game. Everybody's going to give me a thumbs up at the end of our match. You don't learn that stuff without playing for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours. But this game gives you that edge. It gives you that ability to kind of look into in-game, or to, high-level play style. And I really, really appreciate that as somebody who can do this type of gaming, but doesn't have the time to invest into learning it the same way that I used to. So, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot about Marvel Rivals that I haven't heard other people talking about that I really, really love. And that's one of the biggest things. But I don't know, like, is there anything else that really stood out to you in our time together?
I really like the way that you have the team up activations, and we've seen a couple of those happening in the B-roll that I have going here. These are trailers that have been released online.
Yeah.
I think it's really great that the game tells you, like, hey, these two characters have these special abilities that pair together, and if you put these characters together, it will activate like a team power up. And I love that kind of gameplay. I think what's inherently difficult about that when you're not playing with people that you know is that, you have to rely on a stranger who's potentially solo queuing, or maybe you're going in with a smaller group, like a 2 or 3 man group out of a 5-man situation, right? And hope that they will pair together. And that's just going to remain to be seen, like how the community is going to develop over time. I think the game feels really good. Like, it definitely feels snappy. I like the third person perspective more. There are certain characters that go into first person for their like super or special ability, but I love seeing these beautiful character models and the cool costumes, which are of course part of the in-game currency model and the battle pass situation that they have going on. And I think it's a really smart choice to make it third person. It's also, to me, as somebody who doesn't play competitive games like this all the time, where you have to practice a lot to get good, of course, it makes it easier for me, I think, to kind of see the field and not feel like I'm constantly getting, shot in the back and being like, what happened? I didn't see what was going on. The field movement is really cool too. I really like how different a lot of the characters feel. The balancing is something that they're going to work out, right? That's why they do these closed betas and things like that, to kind of get a feel for how the characters are balanced and how the community is responding to them. Overall, I think this game has potential to be really great. What we have seen historically with online competitive PvP games that are heavily set in a licensed lore universe like Marvel is that they usually develop a long-term small fan base, but Marvel is in this unique position that, they've kind of broadened their appeal to a lot of people, so they might be able to grab some of that community that's maybe playing Fortnite and using Marvel skins in Fortnite, and instead maybe they want to come and try out something like this instead. I mean, obviously those are two very different kinds of gameplay, battle royale versus like a tactical like arena shooter, right? But I see the comparisons to Overwatch, and I agree with you that I don't think that it feels as much like Overwatch as people are saying at all.
No.
I feel like it feels like something different.
Yeah, I mean, there's some things that will look familiar, like, the tickers when you shoot people, or the fact that you're, running out of gated doors at the sound of the buzzer and trying to capture a point or escort, a payload somewhere. But that's in a lot of games. And also, like, the speed of this game is much faster than Overwatch. There are some characters who have upgraded movement abilities, so they can get to the point of action a little bit quicker than other ones who are maybe a little bit slower, tankier, more plodding. But I don't feel like I'm spending an hour in one match the way that I felt sometimes playing Overwatch. And also, the layer of licensed material can't be overlooked. Like, Marvel is cool as hell, obviously. It's permeated every part of our lives, and it's really interesting to see it implemented this way. The characters are, of course, voiced. As I said before, there are different dialogue that you hear or between different characters based on who is in your team comp. But there's also comments on the enemy team, or like there's different things about the environments that have to do with pretty deep Marvel lore. Like the Web of Destiny and all this stuff. So it's really great to see them truly go for it and not just kind of sprinkle a light layer or light dusting of Marvel skins on top of otherwise empty characters or people who could be swapped out for anything else. Like, if you're playing against a Venom, you're like, fuck, that's a Venom. I know exactly what he's going to do. And it's going to be in line with what the character has done in comics and movies and other media that we've seen. Like, it's very well developed, and I do feel like there is a heart and soul to it. It does not seem like a clone or a palette swap at all. And I can absolutely see me playing this in real life if we can get a group of people together, because as you said, going in without a team comp or without any communication is really challenging, because as soon as you get pushed to a certain point from the enemy team, it's really hard to come back from that.
And we didn't really get a chance to play any unique game modes. They were all like pretty standard things that we've seen in Call of Duty or Battlefield or any number of PvP shooters in the past. So that remains to be seen about, where are they going to maybe innovate or do something different as far as the actual gameplay mechanics. But overall, like I think the depth of all of the character abilities and how you compare them together was fun. So Rihanna and I did a couple of matches as Groot and Rocket. Rihanna was playing Groot and I was playing Rocket Raccoon. And I was a little miffed at first that they made Rocket a support character, like a healer, because I associate Rocket Raccoon with firepower, right? He loves shooting guns and making things explode, and I just assumed that he'd be like a DPS character, but he's not. And regardless of my initial I was kind of miffed about it, his character is really fun to play, and it comes in incredibly clutch for your teammates because Rocket's gun has the ability, whether you're shooting with left trigger or right trigger on controller, to shoot little healing bombs or to shoot actual ammunition at enemy teammates. And it's great when you're in team fights because you can just be lobbing these little healing orbs at your teammates while also firing off, relatively, and they're not like, power hitting bullets or anything. You have to fire quite a bit of them, but it allows you to still feel like you're contributing. And we had a special move where Rocket can jump on Groot's shoulders and just ride around on Groot, and it's really fun.
Yeah, it is. It gives them a damage soak buff, right? So like there's it's interesting that they could have stopped at when X and Y are on a team than Z, right? They could have stopped there. But no, like we get to live out that fantasy moment of Rocket jumping on the shoulder and like they're doing the spiral gunfire and like swinging the tree stumps and firing the gun at the same time. Like you really do get those special moments with, Doctor Strange making like the big shield out of his magical powers, or even Magneto like pulling up a bunch of really like random pieces of metal and making a shield out of them. Like there's some really cool power fantasy and hero fantasy moments in this for Marvel fans that they definitely go above and beyond just putting a skin on a character that you've seen before. Like it's really well done and the attention to detail is fantastic.
And I also appreciate that they have a difficulty ranking system for heroes, and obviously that's going to be debated amongst players once they start getting their hands on it. But essentially, there's a star system from 1 to 5 stars, kind of indicating how difficult a specific character might be to play or jump into. And some of them are pretty challenging, but I appreciate the diversity of all the characters, not only in abilities and how they do damage and heal, but how they move across the map. Some are fast, some are slower, tankier, lighter, and they're all tied back to the Marvel lore. And it just really gives players so many options. Like as much fun as I had playing with Rocket, I also had a great time playing as Doctor Strange because we had another team up moment with Doctor Strange and Bruce Banner, which was super fun too.
Yeah, it's something about like gamma shielding and gave the whole team additional shields, and playing as Bruce Banner / the Hulk is a lot of fun. That's a good one. And even there's another unique thing where usually if you're a character and you get your health meter taken down, you have to wait until you can respawn to come back to the playing field from your spawn point. As Bruce Banner, when he transforms into the Hulk, if his HP ticks down, he turns back into Bruce. So you get almost a second life, and you're weaker, and you have a little pew pew instead of your big Hulk.
Yeah, you're
fists,
pretty squishy when you're Bruce.
You're pretty squishy. But to be fair, when you're Hulk, you're really tanky, but you don't have as much, distance attack. Like you can only really Hulk clap and smash and punch things. So like it's really, really cool. Like the level of detail that they went to customize each of these characters. And I just remembered her name is Luna Snow. Even her, like the ability to buff or heal everybody by dancing a certain way and having like the area of effect be her crowd that's watching her. It's just fun little touches like that really make this feel special, but also add to the gameplay because the gameplay is solid. Like it feels good.
Absolutely. And I love the art style.
Yes.
It not only like plays well, but it like looks so cool too. I think when I saw some of the earlier trailers, I was a little bit concerned that they were more conceptual and that when the game finally rolled out, it wouldn't look as cool as it does, but it does. The art looks really great.
It does. And the characters read really easily. As soon as you see someone's silhouette, you're like, oh crap, it's a Spider-Man. We got to get ready to dodge around a lot, or oh no, it's an Iron Man, like look to the skies. Like you can recognize who is on the opposing team very quickly, which is a real important piece to, the team comp and to your ability to react in a hero shooter, and especially in these arena matches. So I think they did a fantastic job on all fronts, honestly. Like, I don't think there's a single weak area for it from what I've played.
Yeah, the only thing I think we are kind of waiting to see how it's going to roll out is how is progression and awarding of prizes and in-game monetization going to look once the final build of the game is released and all of that balancing is done. What are the ongoing support systems going to be, and basically what is the rollout of new content going to look like, which are all questions that we'll get answers in the future.
Yeah, very fair. But as far as the beta goes, that was a great time.
Yeah. Definitely want to play more.
Absolutely.
Let's find someone to watch those babies.
We'll work on it.
We have some dads I think we can ask.
Yes, we do.
I do want to make a quick note that I'm very excited that you're my new friend in Garden Joy.
I know you've seen those gifts I've been sending.
Oh, yes. There's a new system in my gardening game. If you guys have been listening to the last couple of episodes, my guilty pleasure Garden Joy, which is from Scopely and Berlin Game Studios, where you basically just design outdoor patios and gardens and backyards and things like that. I sent an invite to Rihanna because I'm like, listen, I'm doing these partner challenges and I need friends that I know to do these challenges with me instead of these strangers who aren't participating. And Rihanna's like, I'll try it. And I was like, yeah, friend in the game.
It's cute. And as I mentioned, when you've talked about Garden Joy before, I've played games in a similar, design and execution. So I'm familiar with the systems. You get a limited use item and you want to use it all the time because it's the cutest one, but then you default to whatever it is you have for free and they try to get you to spend your coins on diamonds or stars or whatever your currency is. So I get it, and I'm able to shield myself from real life spending well enough. And logging in every day does give you a good amount of currency if you're only going to play for like a few minutes a day. So I would say if you're going into it with that expectation, you're fine. If you're going in as like a power user like you are, it does get a little trickier.
I did it to myself by buying the garden pass because I wanted all the cute stuff in the garden pass. But in order to like get to, just like any battle pass, to get to the end where some of the coolest items usually are, you have to play a lot. And there's only a limited amount of time with which you can complete all of the ranks in the pass. So, it's my own fault.
Yeah.
I just won't get the garden pass next time.
It's okay. It's all right to pay for things you enjoy.
I know. That's a very valid point. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I'll put our friend links in the show notes. So if you guys are like, okay, listen, Andrea's talked about this garden game too many times on the show, I must check it out. You can click on our links and become friends with us in the game, and we can send each other gifts. Yes. And you can use when you have friends in the game, you can once per day use a free item from their inventory, and it doesn't cost them anything. In fact, it rewards your friend when you use something from their inventory. So I highly encourage you, Rihanna, to use your free option and pick out something that you don't have to spend your own items on. But yeah, it's been fun. I'm having a good time still.
It's not a bad time at all.
No, I haven't tapped
like I said,
out yet.
I got maybe like 10 minutes a day is all I got for it though.
I wish I could say the same. It's definitely more than 10 minutes for me.
That's okay. We'll accept that.
But I'm trying to force myself to do it only at specific times of day now. And then if I want to do it outside of those hours, I must like get on the bike or get on the treadmill or do some kind of physical activity instead of just sitting on the couch.
Yeah.
And
no, that's a good trade-off.
Getting into design hole.
Well, another game that has us pretty couch locked because you can't pause it. Destiny 2 has also been on the playlist.
Shape. I'm so glad that you're playing, and I'm sorry we haven't been able to play together. But I think I have just a couple more things to complete to have the campaign like fully done. Mm-hmm. And then it's the grind to getting raid ready if I ever will be raid ready.
So I've had some really wonderful people showing me the ropes. Shout out to Phoenix, shout out to Shift for I would say maybe like a third of the campaign so far. I don't know how much I'm missing. I've been really paying attention to the story because it's quite good, as you've mentioned. And without getting into too many spoilers, I've reassembled the team, I guess is a good way to say that. And I don't know how much there is to go from that point. So I'm looking forward to playing
a fair amount,
more.
actually.
Yeah, that's what I figured. I figured it was not quite halfway through. So we still have a lot to do, but I'm loving the prismatic subclass. I really wish there were better ways to target exactly what in the subclass I would like to unlock and how much work I have to do to unlock it. Because I miss my tickle fingers. I like arc souls. Like there's certain things that I'm just attached to as, a lightning warlock and I don't have it. And it makes it not fun to get to that point. And that's my only real gripe with it so far. The story is wonderful. I really like what they've done with the characters. I'm so glad that we have one particular actor back for one particular character. I don't know if we mentioned it before, but if you know.
It was announced that Cade was coming back for this campaign.
Okay, good. I'm really glad.
That was public.
I'm really glad to have that back. Yeah, it really does feel wonderful, and there's like a new flavor to everybody on the team. And something I want to touch briefly on, and again, I don't want to do too much spoiling, but there will be a little bit of leading with this comment, is that there's a lot of talk about life and death and what happens afterwards, and how you feel about it, and what you do about it. And I've been in a really weird place existentially since having my baby, where I think about if my mom passes away, or if my baby passes away, or if I pass away, and what will happen, and having to plan for that financially, and having to really think about it in literal terms has put me in an odd headspace. And the comments that Cade makes about coming back and about being at peace and about maybe not necessarily feeling he needs to come back or feeling okay with going away again, like all of this has brought up some really deep emotions for me that I've been able to work through in a really healthy way, and not by myself because I'm in a party with two really good friends who can help me talk through it. And it's been a wonderful experience. And I'm so, so grateful to the narrative team for going to the places that they've gone and for treating it with this level of empathy and intention, because it's been a very positive experience where it could have been something that was just thrown away, like, oh, the character's back, whatever. And they didn't do that. And I'm really happy they didn't, because this has been an important thing for my emotional journey as a mom. So I just want to say shout out to the Bungie team. You're doing a great job. I appreciate you guys. And I'm excited to see the rest of the story and to get raid ready, which I don't even know what that means, because
mostly just like, getting your power level up, getting the right gear.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully I don't need to do 1,000 nightfalls in order to get one gun in order to do it, because that's not gonna happen.
No, you do not.
Good.
Also, 1,000 nightfalls seems like a massive undertaking now that you say it that way. Dang.
I mean, 10 nightfalls is honestly too much for me.
It's time commitment.
But no, I'm really enjoying it, and yeah, I wanna play more with you. So let's figure out when we can do that.
Yeah, let's do it. And we'll have to probably organize the What's Good Guardians to do some of the other activities, because there's some pretty fun activities that require lots of people, and some unique stuff that I'm going to not spoil for anybody who hasn't played yet, because it's still pretty early after when the final shape came out, but hopefully we'll be able to talk more about it a little bit down the road.
Yeah,
but
maybe after another paycheck cycle for everybody.
So nice to chat about games that we're playing together.
Yeah, it's a nice change of pace, because there's been a few weeks there where I was just like, I couldn't touch any system at all. And I'm really happy that I'm getting some time. Thank you, Danny. Shout out to my husband for giving me some me time.
That moment happens for all of us, children or not. Sometimes we just got to put games down and be like our girl Steimer and just read books instead.
Books are good too.
Smutty books, if that's your flavor, because that's all she talked about. We were talking about reading books. It was funny.
Those are also good.
Anywho, thanks for joining us, everybody. We hope you liked the show, and we'll see you next week. Bye.